let's talk about the 2.8 Mammoth Kenne Bell. So this video is mainly for the guys that are going to be picking up one of these used. You know, if you're buying one new, I hope you know what you're getting into. But I picked this blower up used from a guy that I know. Got just the blower and the throttle body. Okay, that's all that came with it. Well, the inlet hose also. Okay, so I had to purchase separately the intake tube, the charge pipe, which is $400 by the way, from Kenne Bell. I had to buy the lower blower plate. Had to buy that. That was $500 from Kenne Bell. Can't really see it good, but the boost bypass I think was like $185 for that. Your battery relocation tray I think is $80, $85. Your cables and your brackets, that's somewhere around I think $100 for the cables and the bracket, somewhere around there anyway. The throttle body is very expensive if you have to buy that. So, and all of your hoses and whatnot, okay, that stuff gets very expensive. So what this video is to explain to you not necessarily the process, but some of the things that you will have to kind of look into. Okay, I had, oh Lord, I had an easy $1,000 in other stuff that I had to buy. So I mean, I literally got this blower for hardly anything, and thank God, because by the time I purchased everything else to go with it, it got very expensive. So let's talk a little bit about what you've got to do whenever you pick one of these up. So obviously the charge pipe is on the driver's side and not on the passenger side. So most of you guys know this. The Mammoth kits, you know, are that way. They're all that way. You basically just don't have enough room in the fender well to get enough air. So Kenne Bell moved everything over. So you have to cut a hole in the car. You know, put the tube through. That's a bitch, by the way, just so you know. Bunch of wiring, okay? So if you are not comfortable with wiring, with soldering, you know, just electrical work in general, don't even bother messing with one of these cars. Now, if you're going to pay somebody to do it, no big deal. Just know it's going to cost you a good bit more to install a Kenne Bell Mammoth over a non-Mammoth or a Whipple or VMP. There's a lot more work that goes into it. Everything has to be relocated from the passenger side over to the driver's side. And I promise you, there's about 60 feet of extra wiring in this car that I had to add. So it's very time consuming, to say the least. I did not buy the battery tray from Kenne Bell, so I ended up, you know, just trimming up my battery tray, and I actually made it work. So the battery will fit with your stock tray, but you will have to trim on it. Like I went to Harbor Freight and bought a tool to cut the hole in the body of the car. I mean, I've got tools, but I needed a specific tool to be able to really do that efficiently. So I went and picked one up from Harbor Freight. I think it was $20 or so, maybe 30. So that wasn't that big of a deal. The thing that'll get you with these, you know, people take their blower off. Say if I wanted to upgrade, I would just snatch this blower off and I would put it online for sale, right? All your boost bypass stuff will work on your new blower. Your blower plate will work on the new blower. So basically, you're keeping everything but the blower, right? So I put this on eBay or I put it on a forum somewhere, and I've got it for sale, and you see this blower for $2,000, $2,500, and you think, oh man, I can get a Mammoth for, you know, a couple grand. Well, there's a lot more that goes into it, and you're going to really be chasing parts down. And you know, contrary to popular belief, Kenne Bell has really gotten a lot better as far as their customer service goes. I was able to call them pretty much whenever, get through and talk to the guys. So they were helpful, but at the same time, I did not know what I needed and what I didn't need. So I had to order the manual. I think the manual was $80, 60 or $80 maybe for the manual. So I had to piece all of this stuff together. and I thought I had everything. I ordered it all in, got it here, and I was way off. I was way off from what I thought I needed. All these little brackets and whatnot, that stuff gets expensive and it gets hard to find. And Kenne Bell's not cheap on this stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and let you know. They are not cheap. Everything is super expensive. Like I said, that's $400. That's $500. It's $85 for that. It's your cables and your accessories. That's $100 basically. Your bypass, your boost bypass thing's right at $200. So you can see how quickly this stuff can add up. So just be mindful of that. I was completely unaware. I was caught off guard. I bought the blower, and luckily I had a little extra cash because I had to come out of pocket big time. But as far as the blower goes, it's a great blower. I mean, it's billet aluminum. It's going to last you a lifetime. You can always send it off and get it rebuilt if you have to, but you've got a good quality piece of equipment right here that, like I said, should last you a very long time. This is the liquid cooled version, but I will tell you, Kenne Bells are notorious for heat soak. Now, people may argue this. This is my opinion. My 3.4 Whipple that I had did not get anywhere near as hot as this. It was a good bit bigger also, so that was probably some of it. But it's also cast aluminum, and it has fins on it, so it's able to dissipate the heat a little better than this. I promise you, when this blower gets hot, a bag of ice isn't going to do you any good. This thing will burn you to the touch whenever it heat soaks. And as the car sits, even after you turn it off, the heat radiates up. This thing just gets super hot, okay? So it just does not cool down very quick. So you're going to lose a little power there. We all know that. Heat equals, loss of power. So and these things do heat soak like hell. But like I said, they will burn you to the touch. My Whipple was not that bad. As far as power, I'm sure it's on par with, a 2.9 Whipple. This and the 2.9 Whipple non-crusher, so the Whipple without the crusher inlet, is really close in power. A buddy of mine has a 03 Cobra, DSG Cobra, and he has the 2.9 non-crusher on his, and we make the same boost, and they're pretty equal, okay? So it's basically a driver's race. So it makes really good power, and you can pick these up for a reasonable amount, but there's a good chance you are going to have to buy some of the accessories. So just make sure, if you're interested in picking one up, maybe call Kenne Bell. You can't really find any of the prices on their website for whatever reason. It's best just to call them and talk to them. But it's just something to think about, and the extra work that goes into it. It's a lot of extra work compared to, one that has the inlet on the passenger side. So another issue that I ran into, I'm running the Lethal Performance budget kit return setup. Okay, so this regulator is supposed to lay over here, but obviously the charge pipe's in the way now, so I had to make an adapter. It looks like crap, I know, but it works. Had to make an adapter so that the regulator would sit straight up. That was a big fail. I mean, Kenne Bell was unaware of it. I told them what fuel system I was going to run, and they told me sure it would work. Nobody thought about the fact that it's mounted over here on the fuel rail and it leans over here. So, we all just kind of missed that, I guess. But there is a way to make it work. As far as I know, there's no adapters made to do this. I just had to make a plate. If any of you guys are interested in it, I can try to do a video on it later on. I will tell you this though, fuel rails, they're hard to come by for this blower. Rails that fit correctly. There are rails out there, but they're very expensive, and honestly, whenever I was looking, I couldn't find any. I think some of the ones that I was looking at had been discontinued. So, you may have to do some grinding on your rails or whatever, so it's probably best just to pick up a used set. Or you can always go the route that I did with the stock fuel rails. That was something that Kenne Bell talked about, and they preached that you could run your stock fuel rails, and I know, they said they were good to 700 to the wheels, maybe even more. I can't remember. You can look that up yourself, but As of right now, this car is on 25 pounds of boost. It has twin 465 E85 pumps in the tank. So it is on E85. It's got a -8 feed line going into an adapter into the stock fuel rail over to a -6 return line. Okay, the car has no issues with fuel. The air fuel is great on the car. I've never had a hiccup or anything, so it's a good setup. I recommend just running the stock fuel rails. That's my opinion. Also, these lines get super expensive, so I just basically made something. You know, as you can tell, it's not what Kenne Bell sells, but I've had zero issues with that, and it works really good. So I chose to go that route. You've got some adapters here for your intercooler pump that, you know, you're gonna have to find or make yourself if you don't buy the kit. Like I said, this video is mainly geared toward the guys that are picking this kit up used. Just be aware, buyer be aware, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. Also, one other thing I want to hit on: the mono blade throttle body for the Mammoth is massive. You know, they have issues with high idle and just not wanting to idle good at all. Some throttle stick every once in a while. So I'm going to tell you what I did, and it's kind of hard to explain. I took the throttle blade out. So there's Allen screws in there, you know. Took the Allen screws out, and you can actually slide the blade out, the brass blade. And I trimmed the blade up all the way around. I took metal off of the blade. Okay, the blade did sit somewhat like this, right? As I started trimming it, I was able to get the blade to sit more vertical inside of the throttle body. For whatever reason, that cured my problem. I'm not going to get into why, you know, why it did it. I don't really know. You know, I have a theory behind it, but it absolutely worked. Okay, so there again, just trimmed some material off the blade. Basically, made the blade smaller. The blade would fit in there tighter and close up better. Okay, close up tighter. When I did that, it solved all of my high idle issues. Before that, we drilled a hole in the throttle body in the blade. Don't do that. The hole does not work. That's a hack job. That's something, you know, old school from the Fox body stuff that we all used to do, but that is not the correct way, and I promise you it will not fix the problem. So if you have a mono throttle body on your Mammoth and you're having issues, there is a way to fix it. Like I said, if you guys are interested in something like that, I can post a video later on that further explaining it. But that's about it, guys. I just kind of wanted to touch on that. If any of you are maybe looking at a Kenne Bell Mammoth, any size blower, if it's a Mammoth and the inlet tube comes out on the driver's side, it's a handful. So maybe this helps somebody. Thank you, guys.